in the morning.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is a wildly unpredictable Wednesday today, and honestly, we are running on pure fumes and way too much caffeine right now. But we need to talk about the absolute madness happening in Genoa City because our minds are officially blown and we just have to get these thoughts out before we completely crash. So let's just dive right into it because the latest episode was an absolute lot to process. And I mean a massive, overwhelming amount of drama to unpack. Diane Jenkins Abbott waking up in that strange room. We all knew something terrible was going to happen after she went missing following that Maryland fundraiser. Which, by the way, the writers completely fumbled that whole Beyond the Gates crossover timeline, but whatever, that is a rant for another day. So Diane wakes up and her head is just spinning out of control. You could see the absolute grogginess and total confusion written all over her face. And honestly, I actually felt a little bad for her in that moment. I know Diane has done some truly terrible things in her past. Like faking her own death in the park and leaving Carl to mourn her for a decade. But seeing her wake up in this totally unfamiliar, terrifying place, just completely disoriented and exhausted. It was rough to watch. You can tell she has absolutely no idea how she got there or what happened to her after she got back to town. She is just lying there, physically drained, trying to piece her shattered memories together. And then she starts looking around, trying to figure out where she is and what kind of nightmare she has just woken up in. She realizes pretty quickly that this is definitely not the Abbott Mansion. It is not the Genoa City Athletic Club. It is just this weird, sterile, unfamiliar suburban room. And you guys, you can see the exact moment the sheer panic starts to set in. Because Diane is a survivor. Right, she has been through so much trauma and she knows instantly when she is in grave danger. But her body is just so heavy and her mind is so foggy from whatever they pumped into her system. It is like she is trying to wade through thick mud just to form a single coherent thought. I was sitting there watching her and just screaming at my screen for her to get up and run, but she can barely move her limbs. It is terrifying. And it really makes you wonder what exactly Patty Williams instructed them to drug her with to keep her out for so long. But then the door opens, and in walks Dr. Lawrence Markham. And let me tell you guys, the vibe this guy gives off is just instantly, profoundly horrific. He does not look like a savior. He does not look like a trusted medical professional who is there to check her vitals and help her get better. He has this incredibly creepy, perverted, and settling smile on his face. And he just stands there looking at her like she is some kind of bug trapped in a glass jar. It honestly made my skin crawl right off my body. What were the writers thinking making him this intensely creepy? Actually no, it works perfectly for the storyline, because we know Patty Williams paid him off. We know Patty gave him that fat envelope of cash in Chancellor Park while Tracy Abbott was secretly watching from behind a pillar. So of course he is a corrupt, twisted, evil guy. But seeing him actually interact with Diane in this isolated room is a whole different level of disturbing. So Markham starts talking, and he doesn't try to help her or offer her water or anything remotely normal. He immediately launches into this intense, calculated psychological manipulation. He starts gaslighting her right out of the gate, and he is so smooth about it. He tells her these vague, confusing, totally fabricated things, hinting that she left the Abbott Mansion on her own free will, claiming that he found her screaming and inconsolable in her car and that she is suffering from some kind of severe dissociative amnesia. And the absolute worst part of it all, he actually stands there, with that sick little smile, and tells her that Jack doesn't care. He implies that Jack isn't looking for her at all. That Jack approved of her being locked away and is just fine living his life without her. Which we know is a total, massive lie because Jack is literally losing his mind trying to find her right now. Jack and Carl are so frantic that they actually lied to Detective James Burrow about Diane's history of faking her death just so the police would take her disappearance seriously. Jack is tearing the city apart, but Diane doesn't know any of that. She is trapped in this room with this psycho doctor telling her that her husband has completely abandoned her and thrown her away like trash. And you can see how much his toxic words are messing with her fragile head, because Diane already has deep, lingering insecurities when it comes to Jack. Especially after she caught him in bed with Patty on that yacht. Which, again, Jack was drugged by Victor and Patty. But the trauma is still very real and raw for Diane. So Markham is just twisting the knife directly into her deepest wounds. He is using that perverted smile and those dark, empty, calculating eyes to make her doubt her own sanity and her own reality. It is classic, textbook gaslighting, and it is so incredibly hard to watch. I mean, maybe I am being too harsh on the writers sometimes when I complain about the pacing, but they really, truly nailed the psychological terror in this specific scene. Markham is just standing there, looking at her with this sick, twisted fascination, like he is genuinely enjoying breaking her down piece by piece. It is sick. It really is just pure evil. But Diane is not weak. We always have to remember that about her character. Diane Jenkins is a lot of things. She is manipulative, she is stubborn, she is selfish, but she is not a fragile little flower who is just going to roll over and give up. So she tries to keep her cool. She tries her hardest to hide how terrified she actually is. She looks around the room, scanning for any kind of advantage, and she actually notices a row of books on a shelf. And get this, they are books written by Alan Laurent, which is such a weird, highly specific detail for the set designers to include, but it grounds the scene so well. It shows that Diane is looking for clues. She is analyzing her surroundings even while she is completely terrified. She is trying to figure out who this guy is, what his background is, and what he ultimately wants with her. She knows she is trapped with a highly dangerous man, but her brain is already planning her next move. So she waits. She bides her time. She waits until Markham gets distracted or leaves the room for a split second, and then she finally springs into action. She starts desperately looking for a way out of this nightmare, and she actually manages to find a letter opener. A sharp, metal letter opener just sitting there on a desk. Which, honestly, is a bit of a massive plot hole if you think about it. Why on earth would a professional kidnapper leave a sharp object in the room with his hostage? What kind of amateur hour is this? But whatever, it is a soap opera. We just roll with the punches. So Diane grabs the letter opener and she goes straight for the front door. She is trying to pick the lock. She is jamming that metal piece in there, twisting it, forcing it, trying to pop the mechanism open, and you can feel the heavy tension radiating through the screen. My heart was literally pounding in my chest watching her do this. And she is so close. You guys, she is right there. You actually start to think she might get the door open and make a run for it into the suburban streets. But of course, this is the young and the restless. They aren't going to let her escape that easily in the first week of the kidnapping plot. Just as she is about to get the lock to turn, Markham is suddenly just there. He blocks her path. He stops her right before she can succeed. And the absolute scariest part of this entire sequence is that he doesn't even use physical force to stop her. He doesn't grab her wrists or hit her or wrestle her to the ground. He just uses his words. He speaks to her in this chillingly calm, even voice. He threatens her, but not with a weapon or violence. He threatens her psychologically. He makes it very, very clear that she has nowhere to go. That nobody is coming for her. That Jack doesn't want her. That he is in absolute, total control of her reality from this moment forward. And it completely paralyzes her. You literally see the fight just drain right out of Diane's posture. She freezes in pure, unadulterated fear. Because she realizes in that exact moment that his control over her is so much deeper and more dangerous than just a locked wooden door. He has completely trapped her mind. He has built a cage inside her own head. And then the realization hits her. The really, truly terrifying realization that makes her blood run cold. She looks around the corners of the room and she realizes that he must have cameras or tracking devices hidden in the house. How else would he have known exactly when she was at the door? How else would he have caught her at the exact right second before the lock clicked? He has been watching her. Every single move she makes. Every breath she takes. Every time she looks out the window. He is monitoring her like a rat in a laboratory maze. And that realization just breaks something deep inside her. The thought of this creepy, perverted doctor watching her on some hidden surveillance screen in another room. It is just too much to bear. It violates every sense of safety she has left. Honestly, what were the writers thinking giving Patty Williams this much in check power? Because let's be real here, Patty is the ultimate mastermind behind all of this suffering. Patty is the one who paid Markham the cash. Patty is the one who took the picture of Diane unconscious in that white padded room and showed it to Jack at the mansion. Patty is explicitly extorting Jack right now, demanding a romantic relationship in exchange for Diane's safety. It is absolute lunacy, and it makes me so incredibly angry for Jack. He is being blackmailed by the exact same unstable woman who drugged him on a yacht and ruined his life, and now she holds his wife's life in her hands. It is just a nightmare scenario that keeps getting worse. Sometimes I zoom out and look at the bigger pattern of this show over the last few years, and it just feels like they absolutely love torturing the Abbott family for ratings. I mean, Jack and Diane finally get to a somewhat good, stable place in their messy marriage, and then boom, kidnapped by a corrupt, gaslighting psychiatrist. It fits the show's usual style of high-stakes drama, but this storyline feels so much different because of the heavy psychological warfare involved. It is not just a standard kidnapping for a cash ransom. It is a calculated, deeply twisted game to break Diane's mind and force Jack into romantic submission with a psychopath. Okay, that sounded a bit dramatic, but you get what I mean. It is dark, really, really dark. And I just keep thinking about Diane sitting in that sterile room, knowing that she is being constantly watched by unseen eyes. Knowing that the man holding her captive is actively trying to convince her that her life is over and her husband doesn't love her anymore. It is going to take absolutely everything she has to survive this ordeal intact, but I believe in her. I really do. I think Diane is going to find a way to fight back eventually. She might be paralyzed with fear right now, and she might be doubting Jack, but she is going to get mad. And when Diane Jenkins gets mad, you better watch out because she will burn the whole house down to get what she wants. So yeah, those are my messy and filtered thoughts on this whole crazy situation. I am honestly just exhausted from watching it play out. The tension is so incredibly high. The emotional stakes are so high. And I have absolutely no idea how Jack is going to get her out of this without giving in to Patty's sick, twisted demands. Let me know what you guys think in the comments because I desperately need to talk to people who understand how insane this plot is. I'm going to go get another massive cup of coffee and try to process all of this before the next episode airs. Thanks for sticking around and reading my long rant today.